Ladies and gents, welcome to the show. So for today, we have something a little different. We're talking about tax strategy for people that have a S-Corp. So that's if you have a pass-through entity. So there has been a lot of new things going on with taxes. And so just as a disclaimer for today's episode, I am not a CPA. So please consult with your proper legal and tax professionals for tax advice. I'm a financial professional, a financial planner. So let's jump right in. So if you've been following what's been happening on the news, there's been some talk about the IRS expanding its agents and whatnot, and pretty much going after other small businesses. Now, this is factually true. I want to share an article with you from the IRS website. So I'm just going to fast forward right to enforcement. So, long short, number of S corps that have been filed and created has jumped drastically, right? And so under their enforcement, tab, they're saying that since 2010, the enforcement personnel has declined by 30%, whereas the economy grew by more than 30%. So they have a shortfall, right? And they want to essentially make sure that they are getting their due, right? So this website is just on the irs.gov. So you can check this out. I'll drop the links in the comment section below for you to see. Something else to look at with this is that there was actually a court case that was decided on May 18th. And what this is that the Supreme Court can now pull your bank records without you actually even being under a federal investigation. Now, this is a recent case. It was called IRS versus Pacelli. So if you own an S corp and you haven't been paying yourself a reasonable compensation, the IRS can backdate and just look and do an investigation on you and see, hey, does this person own any back taxes? And they can actually pull records of people in your circle. That can be your employees, your spouse, family, friends, neighbors, anybody in your circle of influence. That's a lot that we just covered in a short amount of time. So, just to recap, we went over the IRS beefing up their personnel to do more audits and get their fair share of taxes, right? And secondly, we just went over this article that the Supreme Court made a ruling on May 18th that they can now pull your bank records to see if you owe any back taxes, right? And so I'm going to finish us off with an ADP article just about protecting yourself if you are an S corp, right? So you have to pay yourself a reasonable compensation because if you're not paying into Medicare, Social Security, or FICA taxes, and you're taking all of your income as a K1 distribution, you could be setting yourself up for massive tax penalties down the line. And that's what you don't want to deal with, right? So I'll stop my screen share. But hopefully you guys all did find this useful. And if you do have an S corp, please, please, please pay yourself a reasonable compensation so that you don't have to deal with these tax issues in the future. So what you can do is there's a ticker down below. You can send me a private message, start planning, and I can give you access to some of my CPAs as a fiduciary, and we can go from there. So until next time, take care and have a good one.